What's up? Welcome to the market recap. Today is September 28th, 2025. So I had one trade on Friday. It was this Euro CAD. I was primarily looking for Aussie CAD, but it was just moving sideways at the time. I mean, it eventually ended up pulling back, but by this point, I didn't really care. But I was watching some of these secondary pairs I had, and CAD PLN and Euro CAD were starting to pull back. And Euro CAD's pullback looked pretty clean. Nice little just kind of trend on your 10-minute, nice little run just on your 1 hour. Wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, playing a wave 5 CBO. And all my time frames essentially aligned. I mean, I had a CBO on my 1 hour, an IBO-ish on my 4 hour. It was just the kind of negative about the trade is it was a shallow break for the 4 hour, and it wasn't really breaking this low here. And I'm pretty sure I talked about that in the Thursday market recap. So going into this session, this was the kind of one negative that I had. But the rest of the price action I liked. I mean, it's all pretty clean, strong break, nice kind of clean pullback. Everything else was really there to take the trade. And then it started to basically pull back, and you can see it on your 2-minute time frame starts to assemble this ascending triangle. And I entered on a break of that triangle with 2-to-1 position sizing for 22 pips, 1-to-1 just above the lows on the 1 hour time frame, and then a 2-to-1 just below the lows. I may have been a tad early on my entry on this trade. But I mean, I did get a clear break on the 30-second. I did get a break on the 2-minute. It's not really a strong break. It's the only kind of thought I'm having here of potentially entering this a little too soon. But even if I didn't enter here, there was another kind of 30-second entry. Blow this up so you can see it. There's another 30-second entry right here on that break. Or you could have technically entered another kind of 30-second 2-minute on this breakdown right here. I think those are all valid. So, and then, but I entered the trade. Spread put me a little bit lower than that point, and then it immediately reversed. And then the trade never really went in my direction, which is all right. So, still like the trade. I think it's a quality setup. I think it's just kind of part of the probability model. Sometimes the trades play out, sometimes they don't, and you have to be kind of aggressive with these entries to get the R to R I'm looking for. And yeah, so still think it's a good trade. I like it, but the other kind of possible mistake I made with this trade. Granted, I didn't lose, it saved me money, but I did manually shut down this trade. It looks like we just had the market open and pivots roll over. I did manually shut down the trade on this. We got a breakdown here on like your 2-minute. On the 10 minutes, basically bouncing off of the 10-minute EMA. I'm starting to see this, and then I see a really strong reversal candlestick right here on your 30-second time frame, right? Like, and I'm at this point, I'm also watching like the 15-second time frame, and I'm watching this strong kind of bullish breakup. So kind of i.e. like a false breakdown and then a continuation. And when I saw that, I chose just to go ahead and just kill this trade because I saw momentum essentially continuing this bullish trend, and eventually was just going to take me out for a full loss anyways. And that's what ended up playing out, right? Like bullish momentum kind of continued, and it would have tapped me out for a full loss if I didn't manually kill the trade. The potential mistake is I don't really have a manual kill like this in my trading plan. This is kind of just in the spur of the moment, maybe an emotional decision about this. So there's a potential of me continuing to do stuff like that could hinder me. Like there's a possibility where price just breaks down, breaks up, and this is kind of a retest on your 2-minute time frame, and then a continuation. If I would have killed the trade right there and price would have continued, I would have looked pretty dumb, right? Granted, this time it played out in my favor. I killed the trade there and it saved me an additional 0.45R of a loss. But I think I could have continued to manage this aggressively, and on this breakdown right here, clip the highs. It was probably more so the decision, and executed P1 in my management, which this would have been a valid P1 for me, removing most of the risk from the position, and taking probably a 0.75 or so loss. So either way. But I don't think really anything on I had watch list wise played out Friday. Had $R on watch. It kind of just moved sideways a bunch. So by the time it did pull back to value, I wasn't interested anymore. You essentially have like a triple top here on your 10 minute and see it on your 1 hour, right? Like just not super entertaining to take this trade any longer based off of that. And then these other dollar pairs are kind of 4 hour setups we're waiting to develop. CAD PLN, it did have a kind of better pullback and bounce upwards than Euro CAD did. So there may have been some potential to remove risk a little better on CAD PLN. And then Aussie CAD never really pulled back until late into the day. And similar to kind of $R, it had already kind of been hitting this bottom before it pulled back. I'm preferably looking for a price to come down, have a nice kind of complex pullback on my 10 minute, get to the 200 EMA, and then take a trade from there short. So didn't really get what I was looking for. And then Euro Singapore didn't really play out either. About this, it was presenting entries the same time I was entering Euro CAD. But the price action you can kind of see here on your 2 minute time frame is a little choppy. This is an exotic pair. I've never really traded it before, but I have it on a list and I've just been kind of watching it. There's a potential that a trade could have been taken in here and a little bit more risk removed than I was able to do on EuroCAD, but it is what it is. Either way, that was my session, and I'm going to go build a watch list for the upcoming day, and I'll catch you guys here in a minute. What's up? We're back. So I only have really one group on watch tonight, and it's going to be a pound group. All these pound pairs are pretty interesting. The problem is I don't know if I'm necessarily going to be able to take them from a position size standpoint because they are kind of tight, like this euro pound position, for example. Starting this month, I'm prioritizing trying to take trades as 4-to-1 position sizing. So I take them with a much tighter stop than I've been taking trades. Still the same kind of stuff I'm looking for, like 1 hour IBOs, CBOs, and then looking for my 10 minute to essentially be an ACB, and then my 4 hour to hopefully have something in this case of a 1 hour IBO here on this euro pound. 4 hours really not going to have anything yet. If this was a CBO on this 1 hour, then I'm looking for my 4 hour to be an IBO. So in a perfect world, I'm looking for 4 hour IBO, 1 hour CBO, and then a 10 minute ACB. And then essentially you're going to be playing a bounce off of the 200 EMA on my 10 minute time frame for a 4-to-1 position sizing, which most of the time should be before S1, R1. It's probably going to be close to the lows on the 1 hour time frame. So everything that I've been looking for, just tighter, more kind of precise positions is my focus for this upcoming month. These pound trades pretty much fit that premise. I think this pound Aussie example is a good example. My 1 hour is a CBO, so it's a complete break of both the 50 and 200 EMAs. The 4 hour is an IBO, has a break of the 50 EMA, and then the 10 minute is an ACB. It's broken back below the 50 EMA and looking to bounce off of the 200 EMA. The problem with these pound pairs, you can see in these trend lines I've drawn in on a few of them, this pound Swiss, pound Aussie, somewhat of this pound Singapore. The pound ZAR hasn't really broken out yet. Mainly pound Aussie, pound Swiss. Is there still somewhat in these like downward trends? Like on your 4-hour time frame, we've not really made new highs. I mean, technically beyond this little guy right here, sure, but not of the overall trend. So there's still the potential that this continues trending downwards, right? And then position size wise, this is a 14 pip position on a pound pair. So I don't know what leverage is going to look like. That's going to be the interesting thing for me for the next, month or so, is figuring out how position sizing 4-to-1s work with my broker when it comes to leverage. I know it's sometimes, because I risk 3% per position, that can be a decent sized leverage position. So we'll see how that plays out. But, it's first hour of market rollover. So spreads are high. This pound Swiss is quickly already invalidating itself, right? Euro pound. This is probably the more interesting of the bunch. It's just the problem is the position size here with 3.5 pips. It's tight. It's tight. So leverage on that at a 3% position, I don't even know if that's possible. I don't think it is. For my micro time frame trading days, like 5 pips was just about as low as I could go. 4 sometimes. So a 3.5 pip position might be too small. But it's a decent setup. Nice kind of 1-hour IBO, break, retest. Looking to take it short. It's a 10-minute ACB. So it doesn't really have the 3 time frame alignment, but I'm not really going to get that when I see a 1-hour initial breakout, essentially. But we were watching this trade last week a good bit, around these highs, and now it's gotten around these highs. It's had a little bit of a break. So we'll see what happens. It's probably be a nicer kind of waiting for a CBO. At that point, all 3 of my time frames should align. But this pound Aussie is Euro pound, pound Aussie, or pound Singapore. Could be nice. I think technically pound Aussie is probably the nicest since it has the 3 time frame alignment that I'm looking for. But I don't like how it's sitting in some downward trends. So continue to watch these guys, see what they look like after the spreads chill out here in an hour or so. See if we can't get into one. But all these pound pairs, same concept. They're all kind of are playing a pound strength. They all had either an initial breakout or a complete breakout, and just looking to play a wave 3 or wave 5. So as far as development goes, I'm still watching all the Kiwi pairs that we were watching last week. And they're still hitting some interesting levels. They have some nice kind of trending markets on your 1 hour, some crazy runs on your daily time frames that are in need of pullbacks. So just kind of sitting around waiting for those pullbacks to start occurring. When these do pull back again, there'll be some pretty quality trades as long as we get like a breakdown and a pullback to value. Like if this Euro Kiwi, for instance, breaks down and gives us a pullback to retest that 50 afterwards, this will be a beautiful trade. Most of these Kiwi pairs are all the same. So that'll look pretty good. And then watching Euro Yen and Swiss Yen, both pretty similar. Like Euro Yen's been holding this really nice 1 hour trend, right? I mean, it has pretty solid price action on your daily 4 hour and 1 hour. And it's about to approach all-time highs here on a daily time frame. So, I mean, if we get a rejection off that level and then we get a breakdown and then again a retest back to our 1 hour 50 on the 1 hour time frame, if we get a complete breakdown and a retest both the EMAs, and then it's an IBO on my 4 hour, CBO on my 1 hour, and ACB on my 10-minute, that'll be absolute perfection. It'll be a beautiful trade. So sitting around waiting for these guys to kind of do their thing. CAD Swiss is also interesting. You have this kind of horizontal level here. So you have price starting to decelerate, a breakout up and breaking this high today. would lead to a nice kind of CBO trade tomorrow on this. And then we'd have 1 hour CBO, 4 hour IBO, and probably an ACB in our 10-minute. So it's another opportunity this week. And then dollar CAD, nice kind of 1 hour, push trend here. Nice 4 hour kind of run. Needs a pullback. Daily time frame, it's had a complete breakout of both the 200 EMA, so both the EMAs at this point. So you could see like a CBO here on our daily time frame, which will likely turn this 4 hour into an ACB potentially, which would play into this thought of we get a breakdown here, I can play like an IBO on dollar CAD short. So it's waiting for a breakdown. And then dollar Singapore, also interesting daily time frame, right? A nice kind of strong bullish push, essentially starting to line up and look like a daily IBO and a 4 hour kind of CBO, which will lead this 1 hour time frame to be an ACB. So looking like a 1 hour ACB could potentially be an opportunity here on dollar Singapore, but obviously we need some more development. Anyways, that's all I've got, and I will catch you guys tomorrow. See you.